edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon, and today I have Chris Miles with me. He's known as the cash flow expert. He's a leading authority on how to quickly free up and create cash flow for thousands of his clients, entrepreneurs, and others internationally. He's an author, speaker, and a podcast host of the Chris Miles Money Show, and he's been featured on U.S. News, CNN Money, and Entrepreneur on Fire, helping thousands internationally get fast financial results. And Chris truly is the financial advocate for the entrepreneur. In fact, the average client finds an extra $33,000 per year. So Chris consistently teaches audiences how to do what no other financial advisor can or will teach and achieve financial prosperity now while spending time doing what they love to do most. Chris, I'm just excited to have you on the show today, and I just really enjoy talking about money and how to make more.
Me too. I love it too, Dave. It's fun, and I'm excited to be here as well.
Cool. So, when you got started, what were some of the things that you really found for your clients to grasp onto that would show them how to free up that time money thing?
You know, the biggest thing is it's not about working harder, and it's not even about working smarter. It's about working right.
Okay.
Many times, a lot of times we get in the mindset if we just work hard. Like I was raised that you work hard, and the harder you work, the more money you can make. But eventually, you can only work so hard with so many hours, and then you're done, right? And especially when you're working as a contractor, you basically become a commodity when you're working when you're trading time for money.
Right.
And you're going to be limited, and your body can only take so much, or even your mind. It can only take so much. And it's not even working smarter, because I know people that work smart, like they'll use new strategies or techniques, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out the right way. And it's about doing it the right way. And that's what I learned. It's interesting, as we were talking just before the show, we were talking about just kind of those moments of realizing that you don't have to work your tail off, right? Like you could, instead of working 5-6 days a week or 7 days a week, you could just do it in 3.
Right.
And I remember the first epiphany I had about that was actually about 11 years ago. I was driving. This is in Utah. I'm snowbirding in Southern California right now, but most of the year I live in Utah. And I remember I was driving down the road. It was rush hour, and as they were going down a hill, all of a sudden there's brake lights up ahead. I slam on my brakes, and I hit the person in front of me roughly about 5 miles an hour, but enough that it bent my hood and hit their bumper, right? And I felt horrible. And I remember I was rushing from one place where I had contract work to the next place, because I was working both as like a stock coach and I was working as a financial advisor at that time.
Wow.
And so I was rushing between appointments, trying to get there. And now, of course, I'm pulled over, and it actually caused a 3-car pileup because they were stopped to hit the car in front of them. So all 3 of us had to pull over. We had to wait for the police officer to get there to do the report. Police officer said, "Hey, sorry, but I'm going to have to give you a ticket, even though this is not a minor deal. But here you go." And so it really made my day. And in fact, it made me sick to my stomach, to the point that I went to my office. I missed already one meeting. The second meeting had already started. And I just sat in my office alone, the sick feeling in the pit of my stomach, saying, "This is crap. Like, why am I risking my life every day, driving to and fro, risking my life and my butt, just to, make a few dollars, right?" And I was just sick of it. And I finally, at that point, I decided to make some rules. And so I made a few rules, and this is where really everything changed. And I didn't understand what scarcity thinking was, but I've sort of realized that, when you start living with limits and doubts and fears, and you let those things rule your life, scarcity doesn't pay you any money. It only drives money away. I was living my life in scarcity. I was living like I had to go and hustle, and had to go out and make it all happen, right? And at that point, I said, you know what? It's not worth it. I'd rather have a life. You know?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And so I made some rules. Like, for example, one of them I said, you know what? No more driving to and from to different people's houses and places. If they want to talk to me, they're going to come to my office. So they're going to drive to me. Second thing, I'm not going to just call people up like crazy trying to get them to do business with me. I'm actually just going to reach out to people because I care, because I'm a friend. And I'm just going to check in on them from time to time. And that's it. The third rule was pretty much when I'm done working, I go home. Which I know sounds weird.
No, it's great.
I was the type of person I thought, hey, I have to go and work my tail off, right? So even if I'm done with all the work, is there something more I could be doing? Have I done enough? And so it was always this fear of never doing enough that was driving me to doing, sometimes insane hours. Sometimes going from like 7 a.m. until like 9 or 10 p.m., And at that point I just said, hey, I'm good. And what's interesting is that when I made that rule, and I said those three rules there, one, they come to me. Two, I call people because I'm a friend, not because I'm trying to do business. And then three, that when I'm done working, I go home. When I started doing that, I didn't realize at the time, but there's there's kind of a concept out there called power versus force. Whenever you force something, you break it, right?
Right.
And so what I was doing is I was forcing my business. It's just like when you're trying to undo a screw, right? And if you're just trying to get at it and you're trying to muscle it, rather than thinking about it, you're just getting all your muscles into it. You turn your brain off, and you just get pissed off at this, the screw, and you strip it, right? Where as opposed to like people that with lesser bronze than myself would say, "You idiot, give it to me here, and let me just tweak it for a little bit," and then all of a sudden it comes undone. They don't have to force it. And people do that with their businesses. Sometimes they force it too much to the point it actually gives you the opposite effect. And you work harder for less money rather than working less for more money.
Right, because something's always going wrong. You can't figure out why, but you don't have the time to figure out why because you're always busy.
Exactly. And so when I made those rules, all of a sudden I said, you know what? I started thinking, I would just kind of go with my gut. And I felt every once in a while I had somebody's name or their face would pop in my head. I'm like, oh, I should call them up to see how they're doing. So I call them up, have a conversation. I'm like, all right, well, hey, it was good talking to you. See you later. And then right at the end of the conversation, people would say, whoa, wait. Hey, do you still do this or you still do that? And in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, because it was just a month ago I was calling you like every single week.
Right.
But they were ignoring it, right?
Yeah, because you were chasing them. They
Exactly.
say it's like, did you ever heard the saying, you chase a butterfly and as soon as you stop, he lands on your shoulder?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's exactly it. It's like all of a sudden now I wasn't chasing them. Now they're like coming to me. It's like, hey, we need to meet. When can I come to your office? So here's what's interesting. I didn't tell them that I was going to have a meet in my office. But when I made those rules, when I was clear about what I wanted and I committed to it, everything lined up. And so those people would come to my office. They would, and as a result, they actually would want to work with me. So I didn't have to do a sales job with them. Like they were already ready to work with me. I just had to make sure I didn't screw it up.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty awesome. They came to you. You never really had to say it, and they came ready to buy.
Yeah.
That's
wild.
wild.
And that's still true today. I mean, I've had periods of time. I've gone through crap. I mean, I've been anywhere from millionaire to upside down millionaire, where the Great Recession, I was in the hole.
I hear you.
About $1 million in debt and things like that, especially with real estate markets and such. I mean, I've been through it all, and I've been in a place where now I snowbird. Now I actually enjoy my life. I can work from anywhere I want. And I work about 10 hours a week, and I make a great living, and that's the thing is that I really now understand that it's not about how much money you make, it's how that money works in your life and how it creates a lifestyle for you. And that's where real freedom comes from, is when you have more cash flow, that's when you create freedom. And that's why my whole focus now, especially the last 7 or 8 years, I've been focusing on how to get people creating more cash flow, whether it's to free up cash flow. Especially with contractors, you guys overpay taxes way too much.
Right.
That's part of the reason you're working so hard. You're working so hard to pay more taxes when you don't have to be. And then, and on top of that, like, can you create multiple streams of income? Things that you can do. And so for example, I got one contractor I'm working with right now. He's been a house painter for decades, out in New Jersey, and he's like, hey, I need to stop this madness. I need to get out of it. And so Now he's got his hours to a decent amount for his age. I mean, he's getting older, so he can't work the same hours he used to when he was younger.
Right.
But his big fear is, hey, if these hours keep shrinking, eventually I won't be able to pay my bills.
Right, and he can't raise his prices on his painting to coincide with. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. It would be nice if it could, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't mind addressing people's business and find ways to make more money there, because sometimes we find it within the business too.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But and being more profitable there. But at the same time, it's like, well, can we make other streams of income? And so, with him, he's got just barely enough money. He doesn't have a ton, but he's got 50, 60 grand that we could buy 2 real estate properties with that could cash flow him, $700 or so.
Yeah.
And that's not a ton, but that's a start. That's to get him at least something more than what he has, and it takes the pressure off. And I've learned that whenever the pressure's off for making money in my business, I make more money.
Well, yeah.
Isn't it ironic that when you need the money the most, that's when people don't want to work with you? But when you don't need the money, or when money's coming in readily, it seems like everybody wants to work with you at that time.
Well,
right?
it's not like they can read it on your forehead.
Exactly. And in some ways they can.
Yeah. And it's just the way you act, the way you talk. And, one of the standard practices, even when I needed business and, we were doing a lot of painting and stuff, I was always booked 2 weeks out. Always.
Yeah.
But I would always say, listen, if someone calls and cancels or reschedules, then I'll put you first on the list. And they'd go, okay. And in 3 days, they say, you're in luck. But, I would never chase business. It just wasn't worth it, because you know you're going to lose it if you chase it, because they run away.
They do. I call it business breath. It's I mean, seriously, when you reek of business breath, when you need money so desperately, and even if you don't tell them you need money, people can still read people. I mean, people still feel it. It's just like when you walk in a room, you can tell somebody just had a fight, or your wife, your husband's ticked off, right? You can tell. It's the same thing. I mean, people can just tell when you need money, and you come across as being desperate. And it's not about pushing away. It's like, I don't need you. It's not like that. But I'll tell you, that's the one thing that did change my life, is I realized, after that car accident, I said, you know what? I don't need this. I can go out and get a job and do anything I want to do. Right. I don't need to be doing this business. I'm doing it because I wanted control of my life and I wanted freedom. And so I realized it's like I could do anything. And so I don't need this business, but they might need me, right? And it was a very different perspective, whereas I needed them. I need people, I need clients. I need people to help me so I can do, make more money and do my business and take care of my family. But when I switched it and said, you know what, I don't need them, because I can make money in a variety of ways.
Right.
So I'm doing this because I love it. And when I did that, all of a sudden things shifted and things changed, and people responded. People are like, hey, I don't know what it is about you, but I like working with you, or I just want to work with you. I've had people even recently, they've actually, whether they've talked to me or, one of my representatives, they'll ask him, hey, why do you want to work with Chris? I don't know. I listen to his podcast. I trust him. I like what he has to say. I don't even know exactly what he does, but I just know I need to work with him.
That's cool. That is really awesome. That, because it's not that you don't need the business or don't want the business. You just have the attitude that if it comes, great. If it doesn't, something else will come in its place, and I'm not worried about it.
There's always abundance of opportunity, business. Yes. Everything is there available for you right here, right now. Even if you're struggling, and trust me, I've been there too, and it stinks, but it's always there, and if you come from that state of mind, and this applies just as much to your business as it does to your money too. Sure. Because I have people that sometimes they feel like they have to do opportunities or investments, and they got to do it because, hey, they only have so much time or so much money, so this got to be it. No. There's plenty of opportunity, plenty of ways to make money. The trick is doing what you love, and understand that people got to love what you do too. Right. And that's why I've realized that dollars follow value that you create for others. It's not about trading time for money. It's about trading value for money. And the more value you can bring to the table, the more money you can make. And that's a big focus I changed in my life too, is when I started to focus on, how do I create value? How do I create a win-win for people? How do I create, I'm a really good connector. I've actually created, additional streams of income. Not only have I done things like real estate investing and my own business, but I've done really good with creating affiliate partnerships. You know, I mean, even with people that would be considered my competition, I've referred business to.
Sure.
And the thing is, either I make a deal where they refer business back, or I say, hey, you know, you got a marketing budget, you know, pay me a cut of that.
Right.
And I'll tell you, that one thing alone changed the way I do business, because all of a sudden it's like, I don't have to be the expert at everything. I don't have to do all this. How can I get somebody else to do it? And they just pay me the kickback. I can be hands off. You know, I'm just about connecting those people together. And the great thing is, it's not just a win for the business owner or the contractor, but it's also a win for the client or the customer.
Well, yeah, and it's a win for you because now you become the go-to guy.
Yeah, it's not a win-win. It's now a win-win-win scenario, right?
Right, everybody wins, and that's the nice, that's the sweet spot of the abundance factor, is that everybody wins because there's so much, and there's only so much that each of us can do. So why not help somebody out? Or if they're more expertise in an area that you're not, why waste? Because you're going to be wasting your time.
That's exactly it. It's just doing, you know, focus on doing what you love, focus on your niche, and then everything else, you know, especially you get people asking the same questions over and over. I mean, I remember I had a marketing coach, you know, 7 years ago. He said, listen, if people keep either picking your brain or asking you to do something over and over, you know, that's pretty much get a clue. Like, you know, and I remember even reading a short lecture from like 100 years ago. A guy sent, you know, talking about in the 1800s where he was a kid, his dad owned a general store. You know, think about like, you know, Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of dates me, but obviously,
no, I'm there.
Remember Little House on the Prairie?
I do.
You know, like the Olsons had their general store, right? And he actually worked as a teenager in this general store, this guy that was giving the speech. And what was interesting, he said, people would come to him and say, hey, do you have this tool? And he remembers as a teenager, he'd say, no, I don't have that tool. Sorry. And they walk out the door. Then the second person come in asking for that same tool. He said, no, I don't have that tool. Why do people keep asking me that? The third person comes in and asks for the same tool. He's like, no, for the last time, we do not sell this tool. I do not know where to go. Like, forget it.
Why not? Why don't we sell that tool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that he learned the best business lessons at that general store because he says now in hindsight, he said if he were to go back, he'd say, you know what? Let me get that tool for you. I'll find it.
Right.
You know, and from the get-go, right when the first person said it. I mean, it really is. I mean, and that's what set me free was how can I help people get what they want? You know, what can I do to really give people what they really need? And when my mind started obsessing over that, not over taking care of my own needs and my own, you know, dollar signs, right? But it's like, how can I get people what they need or what they want? You know, is it aligned with what I do? Is it not? You know, great. And just focus on that. And I'll tell you, like, it's allowed me to transition in business as things change because even my market and the people I serve have changed a little bit gradually over time.
Sure.
And you know, and I get more and more niche to what I do, and I find great people also do things that I don't do. And a lot of times when people hire me, they hire me not just for me as a strategist, you know, but as for my whole team even. Because they know that if I don't have it, at least I know somebody who does. You know,
right?
And that one person, that one connection can mean tens of thousands of dollars for them.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's a great insight into, again, becoming the go-to guy, helping people, you know, with their needs. I remember I had a guy that he sells windows and doors, and he was going to a home show, and he goes, there's like 5 other people that sell the same stuff. He said, what makes us different? I said, nothing if you're going to eat at McDonald's, you know. He goes, what do you mean? I said, what makes you different? He goes, well, I don't know. And I said, well, you're not going to make much money figuring that out.
Yeah.
I said, why don't you tell the people that we're not here to sell you what we have. We're here to give you what you need.
Yeah.
And I said, and that will separate you from all the other window and door salespeople in the world because they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. They just want to sell windows and doors, but you want to help these people with their needs, their wants, and their desires. And you can be higher and not have to worry about it. Oh, I can't be higher. I said, well, whatever you want. Go back to McDonald's, but that's gonna get, you know, you want to be able to be bought and sold for $1. You know, it's just you want to create the value that makes you worth it. and that
That's
people
right.
will go to you for. So, yeah, I completely understand.
No, that's so. That's I think the biggest thing there. I mean, you hear people say that your niche will make you rich, right? And there's different ways to specialize. Like for example, I mentioned that I'm like a strategist, right?
Right.
It was interesting because like I realized I was good at a lot of things. I mean, even when I used to be the traditional financial advisor back in the day, when I worked for the dark side, right? As I call it now, I'm more of an anti-financial advisor now. Like everybody's telling you when they're all telling you to save for 30 or 40 years, I'm like, how can you retire in 10? What can I do to create cash flow today?
Yeah.
30 or 40 years from now, I don't care about that time as much as today. Because if I take care of today, I'm going to have way more now.
Well, that's because they want to sell you stocks and stuff for the next 30 years so they can make a commission for the next 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, all that crap that really doesn't make you much money anyways, right?
Right.
I mean, that stuff's already been proven not to work. And that's what I realized when I was a financial advisor. And so when I stopped like going the traditional route, I was like, you know what? I want to do what works. And I'll tell you, like there was actually the Great Recession that got me focusing more on cash flow because even though I was teaching people how to get out of the rat race, it was really hard when people were all said like in deep in the rat race. They're like, man, like if I can just get back to breaking even with my bills, that would be awesome. And so I remember telling people like a lot of them would say, Chris, I'd love to hire you, but I don't have any money. And I was like, man, like all the crap I went through, I didn't say this at the time.
No, right.
I was $1 million in debt and about $16,000 in the hole each month between my business and my personal life.
Yeah.
I was short. I maxed out everything, killed my credit and everything else.
I've been there.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks.
It's
like I had to get creative and resourceful. I mean, after I dug myself back out of that negative cash flow hole, in the next 3.5 years, I was able to pay off over $900,000 of debt.
Wow.
And I just had to get really resourceful. And so when they're telling me, oh, I wish I could find the money, I'm like, well, crap, I can find the money. Like, your situation, I guarantee, is better than mine was.
Yeah, I'll find you the money. You split it with me.
Pretty much. Like, I'll teach you how to pay me. Like, here, I'll find the money for you. And it's funny because that's kind of how it began. And it was interesting because I couldn't figure out why I was someone who was good at a lot of things. But then I realized there actually is a niche in that because, when people come to me now, like, I'm talking to them not just about I am talking about cash flow, and that's the thing I'm very unique at.
Right.
But I'm also really good at the strategy part of how do we create something that starts to generate cash flow and money today and over the next 5 to 10 years that maybe we can get you to retire in that time. And that's something that not many people do. Even when I try to get people to do it, they wouldn't do it for me. And so when I started to figure out, like, I could see the whole thing and how it all works and how it lays out, I could see multiple options in my head, and I can conceptualize really well in my head. I can't conceptualize anything when I walk into a house that's framed. I can't see crap until it's pretty much at the painting stage. Then I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like a house. So I can't do that very well. But when it comes to like money and numbers, like it's almost like Jedi senses for me, right? And so that's what I do with people. And so, but then it's like I don't have to be the accountant though. I've got my accountant, the CPA, that the rock star.
Right, you see it and you sort of like package it up into steps and hand it off.
Yeah, it's like cool. Here's the accountant. He'll save you about $5 to 10 grand plus a year here with just some of the strategies I'm seeing you're not doing. And here's this person right here. We could do this. Here's an investment person who could do this. Like here, if you want to buy some real estate properties for dirt cheap or whatever, here you go.
Yeah.
And like I'm sending them everywhere. Attorneys, accountants, mortgage people, whatever people need. I've already got those connections in place, and I have a game plan that I create, and then I just let those people help fulfill on that along with them. So I can become the advocate in their corner. I become a consultant for them rather than the guy that's just trying to sell them some crappy, mutual fund, like an IRA or something.
Right. And I'm sure your whole program is really fits into whatever their personality is.
Yeah. And that's where my niche happened. I mean, it wasn't immediate, but like you were saying, like you can't just compete with people on different levels. I can honestly tell you, I can't find anybody who can do exactly what I do. And I've looked. I've seen people that got close or they could do one aspect, but they can't do everything that I do. And on top of that, because of who I am and how I show up, people just resonate with me in a certain way.
Yeah.
Even if somebody did do the exact same thing as me, they don't have the same exact passions, they don't have the exact same strengths, or they don't have the same exact personality that would attract certain people.
Right.
And so there's plenty of room out there. There's plenty of customers. There's plenty of clients. There's never a shortage of it. There's always an abundance of those things.
Right. Even if you're McDonald's.
Even if you're McDonald's.
Hey, this has really been awesome. This is a lot of fun. I know that you have some awesome stuff on your website. for our listeners to go to, so I want you to tell everyone how they can get a hold of you or where they can get a hold of you, and I want you to promote your podcast because I think that would be great for other people to listen to. So how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Yeah, great way. You can check out my website, which is www.moneyripples.com. That's RIPPLES.com, not nipples. I've had some people repeat that back. That's a totally different website, not mine.
That's X-rated, right?
Moneyripples.com. And there actually is a great ebook on there called Beyond Rice and Beans, 7 Secrets to Free Up Cash Today.
Oh, wow.
Which is actually like how most of my clients have saved at least $33,000 to $34,000 a year on average out of hundreds of clients. That's the top ways that they've been able to do that. So very easy, short read. Like it seriously is probably like a lunch break type of read. It's 28 pages because I put page breaks in it,
Okay.
So short read. Or if you're more audible listener like I am, like you're on the road a lot or whatever, and you like to listen to podcasts like this, you can also check out the Chris Miles Money Show, which is on iTunes, Stitcher, or Blog Talk Radio. You can check that out there too.
Awesome. So I'll put all the links up to on our show notes when we're done.
Oh, sweet.
At the end
Appreciate
of
that.
Yeah, and then we'll just blast that out. But this has really been fun. Like I said, I love to talk about money. I don't love money. If we had chickens, I would do chickens, but we do money. So yeah, it's a lot easier to store too than chickens.
That's right.
For sure.
Well, awesome. No, I appreciate it. This has been fun too. And then, yeah, like I said, I mean, if there's anything you get out of this, it's just know it's not about working harder or smarter. It's just about working right.
Awesome. And so everyone, I want you to get a hold of Chris. Go to his website. I want you to listen to his podcast because he's, we always talk about making money. Well, there's more than one way to make money, even within your business. And if it's saving money, then that's making money. Just don't give it to the government.
That's right.
Awesome. Chris, thanks so much for being with us today, and I really had a great time. This has been a lot of fun.
Me too, Dave. I appreciate that.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you were listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast.